The Jerry Flint Internship for International Business Reporting is endowed by friends and family. Winning is Emma Vickers of Columbia, who spent 6 years in South Sudan and wrote about how corrupt officials got on airplanes out of the country with briefcases full of cash. She's receiving the first Bloomberg-OPC Foundation Fellowship. Presenting is Kate McLeod, Jerry's wife, and Jerry's son, Joe.
Just a quick story. One night at our dining room table, Jerry worked with a writer on a story for 6.5 hours. He helped younger journalists at the New York Times and at Forbes, even when it wasn't part of the job description. They didn't have to ask for help. He just helped. And some of the beneficiaries are in the room today. So we consider this scholarship an extension of his generosity and his dedication to journalism. And today we welcome Emma Vickers as the 9th winner of the Jerry Flint Scholarship. Emma Vickers, welcome to the Jerry Flint Scholarship family.
Well, thank you very much. And hello, everybody. My name's Emma Vickers, and I'm interested in money and politics in Sub-Saharan Africa. And I'd like to tell you a story to explain why. So I spent the last 6 years in South Sudan, and I first met Henry Odwa in 2013. He was a South Sudanese MP, and he was also the chair of the Energy Committee in the parliament of the world's newest country. And it was a very important job. At independence in 2011, South Sudan also took with it Sub-Saharan Africa's third largest oil reserves. And Henry was trying to design laws that would prevent it all from being spirited away. We met in his office, and it was hot. It was stiflingly hot. There were aides bustling in and out everywhere, but this ceiling fan that sat in the middle of the room wasn't moving. It was motionless. At times, some people were referring to South Sudan at that moment as the new Dubai, but Henry was more prosaic about the pace of progress. And he promised me that the next time I came back, there would be sufficient fuel in the generator to run the fan. But at the same time, Henry was very worried. He was being asked to sign off on lucrative oil deals that he suspected were being awarded on the basis of kickbacks rather than competence. There were these rumors of ministers leaving on the Friday night flights to Kampala and Nairobi with briefcases stuffed full of money. And competition for access to government posts, which was essentially the opportunity to stuff one of those briefcases, was causing a toxic rivalry in the ruling party. Henry was right to be concerned. After less than 2 years of independence in 2013, South Sudan exploded into civil war. It's a war that that some estimate has killed around 400,000 people, although no one is entirely sure because no one is counting. I met Henry a few more times during 2014 after the war had begun until he fled. Henry had frequently spoken out against government atrocities which had earned him attempts on his life, and he'd run from the country. So now this bespectacled, passionate legislator had become the deputy commander-in-chief of the SPLA-IO, the main rebel group in South Sudan. In 2018, just before I left South Sudan, I went back to Henry's old office. The bustle was gone, replaced instead by government soldiers sipping tea with AK-47s laid across their laps. The documents on shelves were covered in dust, and any pretense of oversight was abandoned. And by now, stratospheric looting of the oil revenue that was meant to kickstart this young country had been completely spirited away, and left South Sudan the poorest country in the world. And that ceiling fan in the office was still motionless. It had never moved. I want to tell stories like Henry's, stories about how money and power can rob a whole country of its future. And so I thank the Overseas Press Club for offering me the opportunity to do that. Thank you.